My sister announced her pregnancy at my birthday dinner, pregnant by my husband. She sneered, waiting for me to collapse in shame. But I didn't. I raised my glass, made my toast, and revealed something neither of them were ready to hear. Their world shattered that night, not mine. I'm standing in the middle of the Ivory Room, the fanciest restaurant I'd ever stepped foot in, surrounded by my friends and family. The chandeliers are sparkling, the wine glasses are clinking, and everyone's dressed to the nines. It's my birthday, and I'm supposed to be the star of the show. But then my sister Lauren stands up, places her hand dramatically on her barely there baby bump, and announces she's pregnant with my husband's baby. Yeah, you heard that right. My sister and my husband Mark standing there like they'd just won some twisted game. Lauren's got this smug little sneer, her hand on her stomach like she's posing for a magazine cover. Mark's got his hand on her shoulder, his face wearing that fake pity I'd seen a million times before. They thought they had me. They thought I'd crumble, cry, make a scene, because that's what I always did, right? I was the emotional one, the fragile one, the one who'd break under pressure. But I didn't. I just stood there, took a slow sip of my Pinot Noir, and let the silence stretch until it was unbearable for everyone but me. Then I raised my glass, a tiny smile tugging at my lips. They thought they were in control. They had no idea I'd written the script. Let's rewind a bit. Growing up, I was always the responsible one in my family. Lauren, she was the golden child, the one who could do no wrong. When she wanted a $1,000 princess dress for prom, my parents cashed in a savings bond without blinking. When I needed a textbook for my college honors class, I got a lecture about getting a part-time job. I was the steady one, the reliable one, the one who fixed everyone's messes. But they mistook my stability for weakness, my quiet for a lack of fire. That was their first mistake. 6 weeks before that dinner, my world started to crack. It was a Tuesday, just a regular day. I grabbed our shared family iPad to look up a recipe for dinner, and there it was, an email notification that stopped me cold. The subject line was 2 words, our plan. It was from Lauren to Mark. My stomach dropped like I was standing on the edge of a cliff, knowing I shouldn't look but unable to stop myself. I opened it, and there it was, the affair, laid out in black and white in nauseating detail. But it was the last part that made me feel like I was going to be sick. They were planning to announce the pregnancy at my birthday dinner, to humiliate me in front of everyone, to break me so badly I'd agree to a quick, quiet divorce and let them walk away with everything. Lauren's words were seared into my brain. She'll be too broken to fight back. She never fights back. I dropped the iPad. It hit the tile floor with a crack that echoed the one in my chest. I stumbled to the bathroom, locked the door, and pressed my back against it, like I could hold the world out. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I just opened my mouth and let out one silent, ragged gasp as the life I thought I had vanished. That was the only moment of weakness I allowed myself. Then the grief turned into something else, something cold, sharp, and unstoppable. It turned into rage. I picked up my phone and called my best friend, Jessica. Jess, I said, my voice steady as a rock. It's happened. What? No, Emily, where are you? Her voice was pure panic. At home, I said, but I'm not going to cry. I'm going to burn it all down. My mind was racing, connecting dots I hadn't even seen before. The affair was just the surface. The real betrayal went deeper, and it started over a year ago. Mark and I had been trying for a baby for years. It was my dream, the one thing I wanted more than anything. After endless pleading, he finally agreed to get tested. He went to Northwood Clinic alone, came home that night, and put on an Oscar-worthy performance. He held me while I cried, stroking my hair, telling me it wasn't my fault. It's not me, Em, he'd whispered, his voice thick with fake sympathy. The doctor says I'm fine. It must be you. He let me carry that weight for a year. He let me believe I was broken, that I was the reason we couldn't have the family I dreamed of. That was a cruelty I couldn't even wrap my head around. But now that lie was about to become his undoing. A few days later, I called Jessica again. Jess, I need the real results from Northwood Clinic from a year ago. That's protected by HIPAA. It's a fortress, she said. Jessica's a paralegal. She knows the rules. I'm his wife, I said, my voice like steel. There has to be a key to that fortress, and there was. It took 2 weeks of phone calls, digging through Mark's old files for signed consent forms, and a little clever social engineering, but we got it. An email landed in my inbox with a PDF attachment. My hands were shaking so badly, I could barely click the mouse. The report loaded, and I scrolled past the medical jargon to the summary at the bottom. Patient exhibits 0 sperm motility. Diagnosis, azoospermia. Sterile. The word just sat there staring at me. He wasn't just a cheater. He was a monster. The lie was so complete, so calculated. It made me wonder what else he was hiding. That thought became an obsession. If he could lie about something that fundamental, what else was he capable of? I went back to the day he'd supposedly paid for those expensive tests. He'd said they cost thousands, specialist consultations and all. So I pulled up our joint bank statements from that month. No payment to Northwood Clinic, not a single dime, but there was a cash withdrawal, a big one, $20,000. My gut twisted. This wasn't just about an affair anymore. The next day, I hired a private investigator. He was a quiet, older guy who looked more like a librarian than a detective. I don't care if he's cheating, I told him, sliding a folder across his desk. I know he is. I need you to follow the money, find out where that $20,000 went, and anything else that doesn't add up. 2 weeks later, he delivered, and it was worse than I could have imagined. The money went to a shell account Mark had set up. From there, it was a steady stream of payments to Lauren, her rent, her car, her designer bags. But the real bombshell was a single transfer of $200,000 from Mark's corporate expense account, embezzled money, to a title company. It was the down payment for a new house, now in my mother's name. It wasn't just a betrayal, it was was a conspiracy. My husband, my sister, and my own mother. They thought they'd played me for a fool. But I had two things in my purse that night at the Ivory Room that would bring it all crashing down. Mark's medical report and the PI's financial report. Back to that dinner. The silence after Lauren's announcement was deafening. Every eye was on me, waiting for me to break. Instead, I stood up, wine glass in hand. "To family," I said, my voice clear and strong, "and to the truth." I reached into my purse and pulled out a single folded piece of paper. I slid it across the table to Mark. He looked at it, confused. "What's this?" he asked, his voice tight. "That," I said, loud enough for everyone to hear, "is the truth from Northwood Clinic. From last year." The color drained from his face. He knew. Lauren's triumphant smirk faltered as she looked from him to me. "The biggest lie wasn't you sleeping with my sister Mark," I said, my voice cold as ice. "It was you ever pretending you could be a father." A gasp rippled through the room. Lauren's face crumpled, her eyes darting to her stomach as the truth hit her. Mark started stammering, You can't." But I wasn't done. I turned to my mother, who was staring at me, mouth open. "And Mom," I said, my voice softening into something even more dangerous, "that house is lovely. But when Mark's company finishes their fraud investigation into the missing $200,000, they're going to want it back." That was it. The room exploded. Mark lunged across the table, screaming, his face a mess of rage and panic. Security was on him in seconds, dragging him away as he cursed and thrashed. Lauren just sat there, catatonic, while my mother sobbed. In the chaos, I picked up my purse, and Jessica was right there, her hand on my back. As we walked towards the door, Lauren snapped out of it and grabbed my arm. "Emily, please," she whimpered, her eyes desperate. I looked at her hand, then into her terrified eyes, and pulled free. "I'd save your please, I said, my voice flat. "And I'd call Ryan. He deserves to know he's going to be a dad." Then I walked out, the heavy oak door swinging shut behind me, muffling the wreckage of the life I was leaving behind. For the first time in years, I could breathe. The next 6 months were a blur of lawyers and paperwork, but it was a clean burn. Mark's company settled handsomely. They didn't want their dirty laundry aired in court. I moved to a new apartment in a different part of the city, with a little balcony overlooking the lake. I've got a pottery studio now, where I spend my days with my hands in wet clay, laughing with Jessica as she fails spectacularly at centering her lump of clay. As of Tuesday, the divorce is final. My phone buzzed the other day with a news alert. Former finance executive Mark Peterson sentenced to 5 years for embezzlement. There was a grainy photo of him in handcuffs. I stared at it for a moment and felt nothing. No joy, no satisfaction, just quiet. He's a chapter in a book I've already finished. On my balcony, I've got this one orchid I rescued from the clearance rack at a garden store. It was battered, its flowers gone, but I saw the life still in it. I've been nursing it back to health, and this morning I saw a new bud. For so long, I thought I was the one who was broken, the one who couldn't grow. But I wasn't broken. I was just planted in the wrong garden. Thanks for listening to my story. It's been a long road, and I'm still a work in progress. I want to hear from you. Have you ever had a moment that felt like the end but turned out to be a new beginning? Let me know. And if this resonated with you, I'd love it if you'd share your thoughts. Here's to new buds and fresh starts. I'll see you in the next chapter.